Columbia, Canada is known around the world for its rich biological diversity and its vast forest lands. But BC's forests aren't just economic or ecological resources, they play an enormous role in the health and well-being of human communities. In British Columbia, the Forest Stewardship Council is discovering that social equity is making a big difference to people's lives. In turn, FSC certification is allowing people to see the management of their forests in a whole new light.
Canada actually has over 1/3 of the total forests in the world certified under Forest Stewardship Council certification. What's unique about FSC certification is that each one of these forests has to manage specifically for a variety of social values that are deemed important by the local community.
Near Port Alberni on Vancouver Island, a company called GreenMax Resources manages a 400-hectare woodlot as much for its recreational values as its timber values.
And about, I'm going to say 15 years ago, there was a trail established all along the river, and luckily enough we'd been here long enough and people respected us. They called it the GreenMax Trail. So this trail that follows the river from here about 4 kilometers is the GreenMax Trail, and it's the one the fishermen use to access the river for fishing opportunities.
Instead of a clear cut, we might do selection logging or group selections, which have a different impact than, say, a 10-hectare clear cut. Again, it's a lot to do with viewscapes and the impression and where we're logging, trying to spread out our harvesting on the whole land base. Those all have impacts.
So there's a very large permanent reserve along the Stamp River, and then beyond that we have a special management zone so that we can't influence the riparian habitat near the river. And we also provide access for fishermen through our road system so they can get closer to fish rather than walking for 3 or 4 kilometers.
Tenderizing my fish?
There we go!
Woo!
It's not just fishermen who benefit from the GreenMax woodlot. Ryan Dvorak is a teacher, and this is his favorite classroom.
All of these that are going to turn into this right here.
I run a program called Project-Based Learning 9, which is an integrated outdoors-based approach to academic learning at a grade 9 level. This program, our students learn their Math 9, English 9, Science 9, and Social Studies 9 in the format of our woodlot, which is FSC certified, and one of very few woodlots in all British Columbia that have that certification.
Yeah,
How they work.
It's more than just mindlessly read and write, and instead of doing about 20 questions, we just build something.
No? What about those ones?
No.
Ich mag hier in Kanada dieses Schulprogramm, weil man da viel lernen kann, nicht so wie in der Schule, wo man nur Bücher hat.
These kids, by the time they reach grade 11 and 12, they're actually more motivated to learn. So by giving them examples where learning is real, you know, by using Pythagoras' theorem to calculate how to plant Christmas trees in a row, parallel rows, for instance, right? We tried it on the blackboard, it didn't work, but once we do it in reality, then they see the value of the stuff they're learning, right?
These students leave us in grade 9 prepared for grade 10 academically, but they also leave with an understanding and knowledge, and this is where FSC has been a real benefit for me as an educator, of understanding the global connections, environmentally, socially, and economically, between what we do on our land base and what our land base ultimately contributes to us as human beings.
To the south of this schoolroom in an FSC forest is an FSC forest that is literally in a school.
Like the ecosystem here is a lot different from where I'm from, and it's really interesting.
It's really nice to have the hands-on experience rather than just always being in a classroom environment.
Shawnigan Lake School attracts students from around the world. The school's 120-hectare forest is managed primarily as an educational facility.
There's a mature stand behind me that has over 100-year-old hemlocks, Douglas firs, cedars in it. Just going to see if these different vegetation conditions bring on different soil respiration, and tie it back to our studies about the carbon cycle, climate change, and things that can perhaps mitigate climate change.
It will have more chance of being sustainable if it's backed up by a structure, by an ethos and a set of values. And FSC's ethos and values appealed to us. It fits with our aspirations for this school.
Nearby Elkington Creek actually feeds into Shawnigan Lake. Here, too, a marriage has been made between an FSC forest and local aspirations. In this case, a desire to develop real estate in a forest rather than levelling the forest to make way for housing.
Elkington Forest is 1,000 acres of second growth forest land located in the upper watershed for Shawnigan Creek, Shawnigan Lake. The residents of Shawnigan Lake were noticing incredible development pressures in their watershed. The sequence of events that happened with development was usually a clear-cut timber harvest by one of the major forest companies, followed by incredible ecological degradation in the majority of the watershed. When we talked to the community and educated them about FSC certification, we emphasized that what FSC certification was going to do for them was to guarantee the ecological integrity of the forested areas in the upper watershed. What you get is clean water, good soil, protected forests, protected wildlife habitats in perpetuity.
In the end, what we did is we took FSC certification as the main hub, and we built 5 different mechanisms around FSC certification to ensure the community that what we said we were going to do was actually going to happen. The whole purpose of this is that we are creating a community that sees themselves as being the stewards of this forest. We're doing this as a replicable model to both conserve large tracts of forest land and also provide a demonstration for a new way of living in a rural area.
I'm Fred Marshall, and my wife and I have a woodlot in the boundary area, and it's located in a unique set of mountains called the Monashee Mountains, or right next to the Okanagan Highlands.
On the British Columbia mainland, Fred Marshall has been a long-time champion of responsible forest management.
We're pretty proud to be certified FSC. It's the highest standard in the world. I call it a pretty nice distinction. And then look over here, it's way different again. And over here is different again. So we got 4 different forest types here. And they're all unique, and they're all being managed in a different way for different purposes. I've hired lots of people in forestry over the years with various government programs to do spacing, juvenile spacing, tree pruning, and other forest enhancement, fire protection for the communities, thinning and pruning trees, and then of course logging. We supported 4 full-time workers all through the winter for about 5 months. I and all the loggers who work for me spend money in the local community. So that really builds up the social infrastructure, makes the community more viable, more independent, and certainly adds to their economic diversity. We have the Trans-Canada Trail, crosses through the lower part of our property, and people hike and bike on that. We also provide lots of educational opportunities for the local students. So we have here complexity and biodiversity, which makes for a healthy ecosystem. Very good.
Not far away is One Creek Forestry, located between Greenwood and Grand Forks. This FSC certified woodlot is unique, as it borders on the historical town site of Phoenix, established in 1898 and once known as the Copper City of Canada.
It's really important for our kids to know what started this community, what was one of the main things, and Phoenix was kind of one of our claims to fame.
The area is replete with history, and some of it passed through my woodlot. One of the rail lines runs right through the middle of my woodlot.
Brian Hislop is a local forester. He's changed his practices to protect for values that are important to the Phoenix Interpretive Forest Society and the Phoenix Nordic Ski Club.
So far, I would say that there's been very little impact. Harvesting in and around their main ski trails has been very limited. And I put this in my woodlot license plan, was to harvest in such a way that I maintained greater than 40% of the original basal area. So it keeps the trees close to the rail grade. They get the shade in the summertime and a little bit of snow interception in the wintertime.
Brian is proud of managing for local interests and his strong relationship with the community.
It's a partnership of a forest that encompasses and accommodates all the users, whether it be resource extraction or recreation or historical. He keeps us informed about what his activities are, and we try to keep him informed about what our activities are, and it's been working very, very successfully.
Forest Stewardship Council certification for us means a lot. Our students, we hope as they grow and mature, begin to learn that our world is not just what's immediately around us, but what lives globally. Whether it's in Russia or Brazil, we have forests and we have issues with forestry that all of us as human beings need to be aware of.
We're all about leadership and responsibility, and I put those two words in the same sentence because I firmly believe that one definition of leadership is actually taking responsibility.